You're listening to an African Elements top news story for July 21st, 2025. Please visit our website at africanelements.org for more daily news. The Trump administration has proposed a significant change to federal housing assistance programs, including public housing and Section 8 rental vouchers. The new plan would impose a 2-year time limit on these benefits, marking a major shift from HUD's traditional operations. For years, millions of tenants received subsidized housing as long as they qualified. HUD Secretary Scott Turner argued at a congressional budget hearing in June that time limits are necessary to address waste and fraud. He stated that HUD is broken and should not provide permanent assistance. Studies show that the average household in HUD-subsidized housing stays for about 6 years. HUD currently funds public housing projects for nearly 1 million households and provides Section 8 vouchers to about 4 million households. New research from New York University suggests that 1.4 million households could lose their housing assistance if the 2-year time limit is enacted. NYU researchers analyzed nearly 4.9 million households and found that about 2.1 million could be affected, primarily working families with children. The proposed time limits could lead to more than 1 million children becoming homeless. Many families rely on federal housing assistance to prevent homelessness. The proposal does not clarify how it will affect tenants who have lived in HUD housing for over 2 years. The reduction in funding and shift to block grants means states will decide who continues to receive help. HUD officials argue that time limits encourage self-sufficiency, with spokesperson Casey Lovett stating that long-term assistance disincentivizes work. Critics argue that these changes would destabilize vulnerable households and lead to significant administrative costs. The NYU study indicated that implementing a 2-year limit would cause enormous disruption for public housing authorities, which would need to evict households and find replacements. There has been little guidance from HUD on how to enforce time-limited assistance, including when the clock starts and how exemptions would be defined. Public housing provides affordable rental homes for low-income families, the elderly, and people with disabilities, while Section 8 vouchers help very low-income families afford safe housing in the private market. The Trump administration's proposal would merge 5 federal rental assistance programs into a single block grant, funded 43% below the previous combined amount. This shift means states would have more control, but also more responsibility with significantly less money. The potential impact on working families and increased homelessness raises concerns about racial and social justice. Historically, housing assistance programs have addressed housing inequality, and major changes could affect vulnerable groups, including minority communities. The Biden administration's HUD Equity Action Plan aims to ensure housing assistance rights for LGBTQIA+ communities, highlighting the importance of social justice in housing. The argument that time limits reduce fraud and promote work lacks clear evidence. The proposed changes imply a work requirement and suggest that families should become self-sufficient within 2 years. However, there are no explicit details about alternatives or support systems for displaced families. The block grant system would change how HUD operates, with states receiving a lump sum to distribute, which could lead to increased inequality among recipients. The 43% funding cut means states will decide who receives assistance, potentially leading to a patchwork of policies. Some states might prioritize housing assistance while others might not, risking increased homelessness and instability for vulnerable residents. The lack of detailed guidance from HUD adds uncertainty for millions dependent on these programs. The debate over HUD's proposed changes is about the lives of millions, many of whom are employed but cannot afford basic necessities. The stereotype of assistance recipients as freeloaders overlooks the systemic barriers they face. The nation is experiencing a growing cost of living crisis, making it unrealistic to expect families to become fully self-sufficient in 2 years. Improving skills training and expanding educational assistance would be more effective than punitive measures. The potential for widespread evictions and increased homelessness among children and working families poses a grave concern, threatening to destabilize communities and worsen existing social inequalities. Copyright African Elements.